Hello students, welcome back, and today we will be continuing with the general principles of making of an agreement which becomes a contract. So we have dealt with what is contract, what is agreement, and the general principle of first step, which is offer acceptance. Now we will be dealing with the consideration, consent of the parties, and capacity to contract or competency of the contract and unlawful agreement. Now the second thing which we will be dealing with after the acceptance and offer is the consideration. Consideration matlab expecting anything in return. We've earlier studied in Transfer of Property Act that in a sale deed, if the sale happens, the consideration is the amount or a price. The exchange for something is price. Same way, consideration means taking something on behalf of giving something. Matlab you give something and you take. That is the general rule for the consideration. Now, there is also an exception to this general rule, that is a written agreement or a registered agreement born out of natural love. Now, if the agreement is made in writing or registered in writing due to natural love, is not void, and it can happen without the consideration. Okay, so this is an exception to the general rule. Now, the consideration is mentioned under section 2 clause D of ICA, that is Indian Contract Act of 1872. Now we will see the leading case law, that is Durga Prasad versus Baldev. It is mentioned in the book again, Durga Prasad versus Baldev, 1883 ALL 221. Now in this case, it so happened that the plaintiff was advised by the district collector to build or construct certain shops in the town. Plaintiff did that. Plaintiff constructed the shops in the town and had given the shops on rent to the defendant. Now defendant, with his wish, he decided to give 5% of commission with the rent for to the plaintiff, for if the goods are sold to the person. If the goods are sold to the person, then defendant will give 5% commission to the plaintiff. Now, after depositing the rent, the defendant forgot to give the 5% commission to the plaintiff. Plaintiff sued the defendant in the court of law, saying that he has not given 5% commission to him. Now the court said that it was not a contract, because it was a desired, or it was a wish of the district collector, and therefore you didn't enter into any contract with the shopkeeper or the defendant. So this was the case law, Durga Prasad versus Baldev. So this is a leading case law, and please remember it and do see it in Google or in your textbook. So this is the case law. Now second thing we will be dealing with is the capacity to the contract. Now capacity to the contract matlab competency to the contract. Competency of contract is already we have studied in the Transfer of Property Act as well. Now competency to contract means a person must be fulfilling the three conditions, and that is, firstly, the person must be a major, or he should attain the age of 18 years or above. Now there is an exception to this rule as well. The exception is if the minor is benefited with the contract he is entering into, he is allowed to do so. Okay, this is the exception to the first rule. Now secondly, he should be of sound mind, matlab he should not be lunatic, he should not be idiot, or he should not be a drunkard person. Now third is, he should not be denied by the law. Matlab he should not be an alien enemy. Alien enemy matlab any foreign national who is in a nation where our country is in dispute with. Okay, so that is an alien enemy. Or that person should not be forbidden by law, matlab he should not be a criminal or an insolvent, etc, etc. So that is the capacity to contract, and that is mentioned under section 11 of Indian Contract Act. I am telling you the sections, they are not mentioned in your book, so kindly write it down. So section 11 says the capacity to contract or the competency to the contract. Now we will deal with the consent. Now what do you understand by the term consent? Any agreement which is having the free consent. ठीक है, मतलब parties which are entering into the agreement should agree for the same thing in the same sense. A party entering into an agreement should agree for the same thing in the same sense. मतलब दोनों पार्टीज़ एक चीज़ के लिए अग्री कर रही है और उनके दिमाग में एक ही चीज़ चल रही है, ठीक है. मतलब दे आर क्लियर विद द कंसेप्ट ऑफ एंटरिंग इनटू एन अग्रीमेंट, दैट इज़ कॉल्ड अ कंसेंट. इट इज़ मेंशन्ड अंडर सेक्शन 13 ऑफ ICA. ठीक है. अ पार्टी अग्रिंग इनटू अ कॉन्ट्रैक्ट फॉर सेम थिंग इन द सेम सेंस इज कंसेंट, मेंशन्ड अंडर सेक्शन 13 ऑफ द ICA एक्ट. ठीक है. सो दैट इज कंसेंट. नाउ कंसेंट मस्ट बी अ फ्री कंसेंट एज सच. फ्री कंसेंट, ठीक है. फ्री कंसेंट मतलब इट शुड बी फ्री, मतलब it should not be in the influence of something. Now there are conditions to it or validations to it. It should be a free consent. How? Firstly, it should not be under the coercion. Coercion मतलब ज़ोर ज़बरदस्ती से. Secondly, it should not be under any undue influence. Undue influence मतलब किसी influence के अंदर नहीं होनी चाहिए. Thirdly, any misrepresentation. It should not be due to any misrepresentation. Fourthly, by fraud. It should not be taken by the fraud. And fifthly, by mistake. ठीक है. तो by mistake से भी नहीं होनी चाहिए. When it fulfills all the 5 categories कि इन सब 5 points include नहीं है, that means that consent for the agreement is free consent and that is valid. अगर ये consent free नहीं हुई तो it can be avoidable consent or the agreement can be voidable. Okay. Now the 6th point is unlawful agreement. Unlawful agreement मतलब if the object, unlawful agreement or unlawful object you can say, मतलब अगर any object is illegal, okay, illegal or immoral, then that is said to be the unlawful agreement. Any object, you take any property which is under a dispute or which is pending in a litigation cannot be transferred or it cannot be made in a registered agreement or anything of that sort. तो ऐसी प्रॉपर्टीज़ जो ट्रांसफ़र होती है या एनी ऑब्जेक्ट विच इज़ ट्रांसफर्ड बाय सो इज सेड टू बी अंडर अ illegal act and it is unlawful, so it is not enforceable by law. And any agreement which is made unlawful or with unlawful object, so it is not enforceable by law, and if it is not enforceable by law it cannot be a contract. So the definition of a contract is any agreement which is enforceable by law is a contract. The main object here is if the agreement is not enforceable by law, it cannot be a contract. So these are all the 6 points and I will be continuing with the rest of the points in my next video. So do revise and keep on revising with all the case laws and the sections. So I'll see you in my next video super soon. Till then, take care and revise again and again. That's all. Thank you.